Hi guys, this is the first of a series of videos that I want to shoot to help you progress toward building your proposal. And in this first one, we'll talk about this first phase of your proposal called the introduction section, and specifically how the introduction includes a review of literature and then has you establish a problem, a research problem that your study will take on and will seek to address. So the introduction section, the first part of your proposal, with the subheading introduction, sets the stage for the entire study. So it sets a tone for a specific target audience and basically draws the reader in to show why should we care. So it places your study within a larger context or discussion in the research. And it summarizes very quickly all of the current discussion and the facets of the larger issues related to your topic. And then it quickly, we'll keep saying it, it funnels down into a more specific statement of a problem that needs further investigation. And that problem essentially justifies your need to do research. And we do this all in a couple of pages. So I say about 4 pages in your final proposal for this class. Some of yours might be a little bit shorter than that, but you should aim for a target of about 4 pages, as this gives you a basic target for being thorough and yet being concise. So when you read a research article, you'll notice that most of their introduction is really what we used to call a literature review. So often an article won't have a separate subheading called literature review. And in your proposal, I don't expect that you have a subheading labeled literature review, but it's assumed that you will review the literature as part of your introduction in order to introduce your topic and introduce this problem that you intend to address in your study. So we conduct this literature review in order to summarize the larger discussion on our topic, as we've already said, to give a picture to the reader of the unique aspects of the topic that you intend to study and the specific concepts and the different avenues that the topic has been discussed under, okay? But then that introduction also wants to quickly identify a gap in the current understanding. This we call the problem area, and it's usually stated as a problem toward the end of your introduction. And as you identify this problem or deficiency or sort of an area that needs further study in your topic, this helps you guide you towards specific research questions that you can address. Sometimes these are called hypotheses. Other times they're just called a research question, depending on whether you're doing quantitative or qualitative research. And then finally, a review of literature. And as you read previous articles about a topic, it helps you conceptualize how you're going to collect data. So it helps you understand what type of data will I collect, what instruments will I use, what questions might I ask or observations might I make if I'm doing qualitative research, what experiments might I conduct if I'm doing quantitative research, and even any theory or general understanding about your topic that you are going to use or that you might use to help guide your own data collection and analysis. So that's the final step, and that's the final reason for doing a good literature review. So we've all done a literature review. For some of us, it's been a while, but for those who it has been a while, the literature review is essentially a 2-step process, fairly simple. I have to locate and read and organize sources, articles, previous research related to my topic, and about how to do that. But the second phase is really the important thing, to then bring that discussion into various parts of your proposal. So as you review literature, you'll really include it into 2 areas of your proposal. The introduction, as we're talking about now, and again, it relates your study to the larger dialogue or to research discussion, frames your problem, provides rationale for the importance of your study, and provides guiding theory that you might use. But then it also comes back later on into your proposal or your research paper, the results section, and even the discussion section. This will be parts of the paper that you develop in the spring semester, so you don't have to worry about it for now. But the lit review, the types of articles that you review will make their way back into your paper later on as you take your data and your findings and you compare and you contrast with what other people have found. You say, this is what I found that's similar to previous studies. These are where the differences are, and this is what it might all mean. So you're sort of answering the so what question later on in your paper, and you'll use previous research in that discussion as well. So then, how do I locate good sources and how do I bring them together in a way that introduces the reader to something that matters and that actually helps me collect good data? Here's the overview. And I would say that they're interchangeable. Some people will go directly to primary sources. You'll go into databases of the CBU library or Google Scholar or references and sources you're already working with for your literature review drafts, and you'll go to what are called primary sources first. Primary just means they collect original data. They're not reviewing data that other people have collected. But others of you may start with secondary sources. You may be reading a trade journal, ESPN magazine, or the Sport Business Journal, or even just a college sport magazine that you have around the office, and you start to read about a topic. That's a secondary source where you start to consider a topic, and then you use that secondary source to seek out primary source information. You go to a database, you go to CBU library, and so on. And that's where you get more of an academic understanding of your topic. Once you gather those sources and you start reading them over and over again, then it's time to start summarizing this research. And this is where visual images can help you get a grasp of main themes that you're reading and main directions that you might head for your own research. So we'll talk about how to do a concept map here, and then you actually write it up and start the writing process. And obviously remember, again, the whole purpose of a literature review is not just to show all that's been said, but to formulate a problem and a purpose statement for your actual research. And I'm sharing this image over here to the right just to show you an example of how organizing your thoughts into individual articles that you're reading and arranging them in some sort of visual diagram can really help you make sense of and reduce the amount of information that you're reading. It can be daunting when you're reading 20 different articles to try and make sense of everything. So sometimes it can be something formal, like a concept map, where you actually fill in different ideas and concepts from each of the articles you're reading and how they similarities or differences. Other times you just jot down these notes on a piece of paper. Doesn't matter to me how you do it, but I am strongly suggesting that you should do more than just write the review as you're reading articles. You should work with it. You should summarize and use concept maps and visual diagrams whenever possible, because it will help you organize and synthesize ideas that you're reading. And the clearer it is in your head, the clearer your entire process and proposal will be. So a quick word about gathering sources. Most of you are familiar with this, but I need to identify keywords that are relevant to the topic that I care about. And usually I use those keywords, search terms we say, to search databases. So remember, a database is just a collection of various types of academic writings, journal articles and such. So when you go to the CBU library homepage, you can click on search database, and then you can just input some of these databases. These are some common ones in sport management: Sport Discus, PubMed for medicine, JSTOR, and others. What I recommend, though, is going to the full text finder and entering titles of journals, Journal of Sport Management, and various exercise science journals. Remember, I give you a list of journal titles in your syllabus for those who, if it's been a while since you've looked for research articles, use those journals that I provide for you type them into Full Text Finder, and then you can search within specific journals according to keywords. Whatever your topic is, you just put in keywords, and then you'll get, and you can, of course, limit it by a certain range of years, let's say 2015 to 2020, so you get recent stuff, and you see whether or not it's here at CBU. If it's here at CBU, obviously it'll say full article, and you can download a full article. If you only see the abstract and CBU does not have the full article, most of you are aware of interlibrary loan, but this basically says if CBU doesn't have it, they can get it for you. You click on the link, you give CBU the information, and they order it for you, and then you get it as a PDF file. So you got to get on that early if you want to have these articles delivered in a way that helps you write your papers for this class. So get on it. A quick word about how to gather your sources. There's two things at play here. I want to start very broadly related to my topic. So if your topic is, let's say, factors that might impact the low number of women in high-level sport management positions, then I'm going to want to collect data, or review articles related to all the various factors that might impact it, whether it's personal choice of women in terms of only taking certain jobs and not seeking promotion for family obligations or things, as well as external biases or different glass ceiling effects or specific discrimination in the workplace. So I may be reading in all those areas, not just, let's say, personal issues that limit women, personal choice that limits female promotion into high-level sport management positions. So my point is, you can read broadly at first and then work on narrowing your topic and removing articles that seem to be tangential. But don't do that too soon, because sometimes you'll mistakenly think this article doesn't apply, and then later on you find that there's valuable information in there that helps you guide your thinking about a topic. So this is kind of a feel thing, but keep that in mind. I want to start broadly, and sometimes I want to read in areas that I didn't think I would read in, but then at the end of the day, you need to get back on track, and when you need to leave a certain area because it's distracting or getting you off track, you got to figure out and try and discern when that might be. Okay, so how do you know when you've collected or read enough research or articles? There's this concept of saturation that you need to be aware of. This idea that shouldn't come after only reading 5 articles, but it should definitely come after you read 15 or 20 or so, that concepts and ideas and authors' comments and discussion sections, they begin repeating themselves. You start to hear the same thing or similar things over and over again. This is a good sign. It doesn't mean that you might not find one study who challenges what other people are saying, but it means you start to see patterns in what you're reading, and you don't discover any new information. Once you feel like you're there, you've reached saturation. It's time to start writing this up and moving on with your study. So I can't explain exactly when each of you will get there, but I'm advising, look for this point of saturation as a general guide. And once you reach that saturation point, now's the time to begin to represent the literature and how it fits with your project. So again, back in the introduction, this is where you have major themes in your literature review, and you list those themes as subheadings within the introduction. You organize your discussion about your topic related to these major trends in your lit review. And a good way to come up with those major themes or trends in the literature review is through a text outline or a visual picture. Find what works for you, but jot down ideas, connections, common themes as you're reading articles with question marks, and that might encourage you to read more. But once you have a good visual picture of your research and all the different discussion that's going on related to your topic, once you have a good picture, on paper, you're ready to write the paper, and the paper is a lot easier to write. That's my 2 cents, and I hope that you use either a text outline or a visual picture to help guide your writing. All right, a couple of additional tips here once you start writing your lit review within the introduction. Avoid just listing each individual article that you read. Avoid writing a book report or a few sentences about study 1 and then moving on to study 2 and then study 3 with a few sentences for each. I would even say don't even start writing like that in the beginning, because then it's really hard to switch gears and to stop writing like that. So sure, you might summarize and take notes on each article you read, but when you write your introduction, try and leave that to the side so that you're writing your introduction in a way that brings common articles together and that discusses it in a way that's broad and then becomes more and more narrow as you work on developing a problem area that your study will address. So a lit review is not a book report on an exhaustive list of studies. It is an overview that demonstrates familiarity with your subject, and it's organized in a logical way that makes sense to you. And you do that through subheadings and themes. And even you might group it according to articles that address similar research questions or problems, or articles that address similar methods. You might organize all the survey research on your topic and then all the qualitative research and all the experimental research, if that makes sense. It's your decision, but it should be logical and it should be thematic rather than a book report 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sort of format. And like most things, the best way to get examples is just to read articles, quality articles related to your topic, and follow what they do. Maybe it doesn't have to be at the same level of writing, but the tone and the flow and the length, things like that will give you really good examples. So these last couple of slides just have images from other textbooks that I've read. I'm going to put this PowerPoint on Blackboard as well so you can take a look at it, but you can pause your screen here to look at some of these suggestions as well. But this is just big picture considerations as you think through and as you write the literature review. These are things that will help you help guide the process. Here's another image to take a look at, just as kind of a checklist to know, am I done? Is my lit review good? Because remember, once your lit review and introduction are done, it will guide and direct and make the rest of your study a lot more clean. So it's time well spent on this first part of your proposal. It's not the most fun part of the proposal. It seems to be the most conceptual, but if you can check off most of the items on this list, you know you're well on your way to a nice, clean group project. And this final slide sort of provides a what not to do list. So the previous slide was a checklist saying all the things to do. This would be things not to do, and how to check your introduction and literature review, check your formatting according to this checklist here. So final word, this is the final slide. How do you cite your sources? Remember, as I said in class, I'm not a stickler for a certain type of style guide or manual. You can use APA, MLA, Chicago. There's a bunch of different ways that you can cite your sources. I just ask that you pick one and that you cite your sources. So if you use words or concepts that are not your own, show me where you got it. Then you get to decide how you cite the source. But remember, there's a link to this APA style guide here, a link from your syllabus. That's CBU's gift to you. It's free. And if you log in, it will help you cite your sources and how to cite sources. And it'll even help you do that by different style guides. But the APA, the American Psychological Association, is the one that is sort of the default guide for us in sport management. So I recommend that you use that. One more quick word. Some of you may already be familiar with different research article formatting software. I don't recommend any of these. Sometimes I use them, sometimes I don't. Microsoft Word, Zotero, EndNote, these are all citation guides. They can help you format citations. And the cool thing is, once you build a list of sources in one of these software programs, you can just pull them for all your future papers, and you can just pull the citations from that list of references. So it's nice, but it takes some time to build. So I don't recommend it to most of you. But if you've already heard about it or you already know about these programs, you'll know that they can be really useful as you're building a literature review for this paper and for other papers in the program. Okay, so that's it for now from me. That's step number one. It's what your introduction and how the lit review fits into the intro. Please reach out if you have questions. Remember, it's fun in groups as well. So work smart, work together, build off each other's strengths, but make sure that if you're in a group that you pull your weight and you continue to be a good group mate, okay? Take care, thanks, and let me know if you have any questions.